the fact that that Peter Credlin keeps dragging out the old standard people to talk about an issue which she thinks is vitally important to us all. Now, I'm the first to agree that the issues in Alice Springs and the issues around Indigenous people are critical and that we need to find ways to deal with them. What Sky News tends to want to do, though, is to continually present the same old story over and over again by the same old people over and over again who validate the image that they want to present, particularly at a time when the whole Sky network, the Murdoch network, is endeavouring to paint this picture that is advocating for a no vote for the constitutional change. And they therefore have to continue to paint what appears to be a destructive image of Indigenous people in Alice Springs in particular. It's interesting to note that the focus always seems to be on Alice Springs because they keep dragging in the same old people to talk about the same old issues. And I have an example of this here where Credlin drags in Darren Clark from Alice Springs, who's a man who's received has developed actually quite a reputation in terms of talking about the issues that are happening in Alice Springs. He's a baker. He's had his place broken into X number of times. He's obviously got his ear to the ground. He's obviously mindful of all the times that Indigenous people do things that they're not supposed to be doing in Alice Springs. He is the mouthpiece for Alice Springs and for everything that is wrong in the Indigenous community. Never offers a solution, I hasten to add, always there to criticise. So he fits into the format that is developed by Sky News. And here's Peter Credlin talking about this very issue.
And while officialdom in Canberra is obsessing over the voice, the chaos that's the daily life for so many Indigenous people continues. Saturday night, the Australian newspaper reports today, was another night of violence on the streets of Alice Springs. Here's some of the...
And we have to mention here that it is Australian. It is Murdoch Press who's pushing this issue. So be wary of anything that you hear when they say the Australian or any of the Murdoch presses or Sky News, they're pushing an agenda. This is their agenda.
iPhone footage sent to me over the weekend. Local businessman Darren Clark says the latest episode is about the worst he has seen.
The street violence that we had in the early hours of Saturday morning was some of the worst that I've seen, Laura.
I just don't know what he was doing up at the early hours of the morning. Perhaps it's because he's a baker. Maybe that was the reason. But, you know, is he reporting on what other people have told him? Is he reporting on what's being reported over the news media? Is he reporting on something he has first-hand knowledge of? Or is he just listening to others to gossip and reporting just on that because it gets him some coverage on Sky News? And he feels important because of that coverage.
Just horrid scenes. People on the ground being kicked and stomped on, you know, and even a young female being attacked. It's just horrific. And then for some youths to go into the pizza shop and go behind the counter and arm themselves with knives, with a knife, you know, that's, you know, it's gone up another level.
The reason why the government and the mainstream media don't want you to know about Alice Springs, don't want to put it on the news every night, is because they know Alice Springs undercuts their arguments for a voice.
No, you strange and weird person. You guys put it on the news because you want to undermine the voice and you want people to vote no because of your own racial prejudices. Now, I just wanted to raise one issue around this particular dude. And so there's this article, again, in the Daily Mail. I made a report on this earlier about Daily Mail. It seems to have the finger on the pulse when it comes to Australia. And this is about this bloke, Darren Clark. And so Goss responded to businessman's wild claims that a horrific incident in Alice Springs led to a 6-year-old boy trying to take his own life. Police have addressed a horrifying claim made by a well-respected, Well, I don't know if he's so well respected now, but that's what they say. Alice Springs businessman, after he suggested a young boy tried to take his own life because he'd witnessed the rape of his older sister. Businessman Darren Clark, who often calls for greater action on crime in the outback town and has seen his bakery robbed dozens of times, made the claim on Monday in a call to Ben Fordham's 2GB morning radio show. A 15-year-old girl was raped in her house. It was witnessed by her 6-year-old brother, a pretty traumatic experience for both, he claimed. Mr. Clark claims the 6-year-old boy reportedly so traumatised by what he had just witnessed then tried to take his own life. However, this is the point. Northern Territory Police were quick to dismiss Mr. Clark's claim in a statement to the Daily Mail Australia on Tuesday and said the businessman had unnecessarily increased the family's trauma. So in an effort to sensationalise all of this, he actually made things worse for the family. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that this did or did not happen. Don't know. Haven't heard anything else about it apart from what Darren Clark has alleged. But if you're going to raise these types of issues, you need to be mindful there's a whole lot of people that are going to be involved. Firstly, who are you to raise these issues? You're not a journalist to start with. You're not a social worker or a psychologist. You're not party to the event. You're just someone who hears gossip. And suddenly, because of that gossip, you decide that you have a megaphone because people like Sky News and the Daily Mail will contact you. And I tell you what, the issue here is that the papers, the media, such as the Daily Mail and Sky News in particular, want to sensationalise this stuff. So they have people who have no qualifications whatsoever, who cannot verify necessarily whether these things happen or not. The video that Credlin showed, who knows whether that was from last week or whether it was from months ago. We do not know, right? They can replay this stuff over and over again, and who are we to know when it was actually filmed? So be wary of people like Darren Clark. They are people looking for sensational news, looking for a time in the spotlight for their moment of glory. And people like Sky News and the Daily Mail and others tend to give it to them. Except in this case, at least the Daily Mail had the guts to come out and report that the police disagreed with what he was saying and that his comments had actually traumatised other members of the family. Be wary of what you say and be wary of listening to people like him. So I hope you subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, let me know what you think, contact me and inform me as to what it is you think of some of the things that I say here. Criticise me if you want, I don't care. I'll be happy to respond. Take care of yourself, everybody. Look after yourselves and be safe.